y'all know, I'm Dr. Austin Stapleton. I'm an occupational medicine doctor and certified independent medical examiner. I'm here to answer any questions you have about work-related shoulder injuries. No, it's not that bizarre. It actually happens pretty often, but you get biceps tendon ruptures pretty often. It's right here on the biceps, and they're called biceps tendon ruptures, and they get what's called a Popeye's deformity, so if the proximal tendon ruptures, it rolls up here, and then you get a big bump here. That's why they call it Popeyes, because it's like Popeye the Sailor Man. You can get a proximal or a distal. The biceps tendon ruptures, and it just rolls up. You'll see it in videos on YouTube where weightlifters are lifting things up, and then their biceps will pop and it'll roll up. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not, but anyway, you get them on work relatively often. They're frequently really easy to identify. Big people with a lot of extra weight, you can't see it, but in skinnier people, they're very identifiable, and you can see the deformity right away, and then they end up getting bruising and a lot of other things going on. The most common are either labral tear or probably rotator cuff tears more than labral tears. So the rotator cuff, it's made up of 4 muscles that wrap around the humerus here. Where those tendons wrap around the humerus, you can get tears in any one of those 4 muscles, so along any part of those tendons. Those tears, you can either get an acute tear, which will be from a sudden pull or a sudden jerk or a sudden twist, can cause a tear of it, or you can get it gradually over time. It also can happen from work. You can get, if you do frequent use of over shoulder work or extended arm work above 60 degrees, that sort of thing, you can cause a rotator cuff tear, which can be quite painful. It can limit your range of motion, limit your strength. So we need to be very clear with this. Just because you work out at the gym does not mean you can't get injured at work as well. And you really need to figure out what you're doing at work. How long are your arms above your shoulder? Are your arms fully extended or not? Do you wear an exoskeleton or not? There's nothing wrong with going to the gym. As a matter of fact, going to the gym can be protective because it strengthens those surrounding muscles. That doesn't disqualify you. What's more important is that you really report what you do at work. Say you go to the gym an hour, 5 days a week, which is a lot of gym time, more than most people. But you're at work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, with your arms extended greater than 60 degrees, fully extended, with 15 degrees of weight. That's not going to compare. And so you need to document that clearly so that we understand where you're coming from. Now, if your arms are only extended greater than 60 degrees for 5 minutes a day, well, then we're talking something different. And then there may be bigger contributors in the weightlifting. To be things like bursitis and tendonitis, which I think can cause a lot of problems. And what a bursa is it's a little lubricating sac that sits underneath the bone in the shoulder. And every time you move your arm, that sac helps lubricate it. And so that can get inflamed and angry. And when it does, every time you move your arm, it hurts. So that's it. Or you can get a tendonitis. So people will commonly have a biceps tendonitis where the biceps tendon runs up here and that tendon will get inflamed. Neither one of those has a surgical solution. It'll be physical therapy or maybe an injection. Definitely not. I know how ideally we say you report things in 24 hours, but we both know that some of these injuries take months, years to develop. They don't happen overnight. Once they become a problem, then you get down to what the problem was and how it developed. And that's okay. Things like carpal tunnel take a long time to develop. And, or even a degenerative rotator cuff tear, that can take a long time to develop. That's not going to happen overnight. And so we'll look at it. No, so carpal tunnel only happens in the wrist. Yeah, but that was just my example of something that takes a long time to develop. Anybody that's doing over the shoulder work, if you've got T-Rex arms, your shoulders are pretty safe. If you're working here all the time, even if you're doing pretty forceful activity, but you're keeping your elbows in and your arms in close, you can do forceful activity and keep your shoulders pretty safe. As soon as you start to extend those arms up and out, you're running into problems. No, and that's good to document, because if all your coworkers are having it, then it's an endemic problem, and that's worth noting. That's something that people look at when they're looking at on-the-job injuries, is if this is common in your population, because that's a sign that it's a population problem, not just that's worth noting. So that's called a restriction. That's mandated by law. That's really important. What your doctor gave you does not sound like a good restriction. What you need is a very specific restriction. No over-shoulder activity. Cut it out. Or over-shoulder activities more than 2 hours per day. It's something very specific about what you can or can't do with the right arm, or both arms, or left arm. And once you have a very specific idea of what your restrictions are, then you give it to your employer, and your employer is supposed to follow those restrictions. If you don't, then you need to report that. That's been given by your doctors what they're supposed to follow. And that doesn't have to be work-related. You can have restrictions for not work-related activities. Say you hurt your shoulder at home, has nothing to do with your job. You can get restrictions for that too, and take that into your job. No, it's going to depend on state to state. That varies from state to state on whether they can, and union to union. I know at my last employer, they couldn't drug test you, and so it made no difference at all. There are other places in Missouri where they would drug test you, and then they would use that to deny a case. So I would look into it with a lawyer. But if you really feel that way, what you do is you document why you feel that way and the care that you're getting. And then you go to your insurer, and you ask for a second opinion. If you can't get a second opinion, then you can seek legal help until you find somebody that can take care of you. If you're not getting care, your body is more important. So use your outside, do what you have to, get a denial letter, you get the care you need first. That takes precedent, is take care of your body over everything else. But there are a few things that you need to make sure that you get from your doctor. Make sure you get a causation statement. Ask your doctor for a causation statement. You want their doctor to make sure they clearly associate your injury with your work site. If they're not doing that, then they're not doing you any favors. You have to talk to your employer about it. There's a lot of restrictions on a lot of jobs about what you are and aren't allowed to do.
Would it help if they can?
If they can, of course. I can see what you're doing. If I can see how you hurt yourself or what you did in what way, then it would absolutely be a help. But make sure you're allowed to do it. Don't do anything that you're not allowed to do. You know what? We'll set it up on the website. So StapletonInjuryAdvocate.com. I'll have a good list of questions and things to get ready before your injury. Things like how to think about causation and what caused your injury so that you really have given it some thought.